are the Epstein Files, though? Where are they? If you've been online at all, if you have any social media account at all over the past 2 weeks, you've seen that comment from so many liberals who are pretending all of a sudden to care about Jeffrey Epstein and all of the events that happened on his island and possibly across the world in what is likely a corrupt ring of child traffickers. They care now. Of course, you didn't hear a peep out of them during the entirety of Joe Biden's presidency, but now that Trump's in office, they do care, and they're making their voices heard as much as Republicans are. Everyone wants the Epstein Files released now, including Democrat voters and even mainstream media news sources. But in a cruel twist of fate, these liberals who are crying for the Epstein Files to be released has now experienced what it's like to be on the receiving end of one of their own liberal judges who turns out was appointed by Obama. Everyone remembers this guy right here. This is the infamous now Judge Rosenberg, a liberal appointed judge who just defied President Donald Trump at every turn, filing a ton of injunctions against Trump, trying to halt all of his domestic policies. He's one of many judges that came after President Donald Trump for his aggressive immigration reform policies, as well as coming after him for a bunch of other things. And these judges have also come at Trump for using the National Guard to quell the LA riots, shutting down USAID, everything. They have attacked President Donald Trump and his executive powers pretty much since day one. In fact, President Donald Trump has been the most attacked president by these U.S. low-level district court Democrat, most of the time, judges in probably presidential history. And for the longest time, Democrats were snickering about it and laughing. The mainstream media was reporting on incidents like these with a gleeful approach. Another district court judge has filed an injunction on the Trump administration. And they loved it. They loved the idea of being able to impede President Donald Trump, especially because Republicans control the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the executive branch, pretty much everything that's important. And so this was their last line of defense, and the Supreme Court is now making it increasingly hard for these judges to defy President Donald Trump, thankfully. However, like I prefaced at the beginning of this video, in a cruel twist of fate, Democrat judges are now working against the will of the people who make up liberal voters. These liberal voters who are crying online about the Epstein Files needing to be released because they mistakenly think it's going to implicate President Donald Trump in a criminal way, which it won't, have now tasted their own medicine in the form of Judge Robin L. Rosenberg. Not Boasberg, mind you, Rosenberg. And there's something about judges with this similar of a last name. The German judges just seem to really hate President Donald Trump. But today, Florida Judge Robin L. Rosenberg, mind you, who was appointed in 2014 by Barack Obama, has denied the request by the Trump Department of Justice to unseal the Epstein grand jury transcripts and other court documents relating to the Epstein Files. In a motion right here, you can see the official paperwork, order denying petition to unseal grand jury transcripts. The matter before the court is the United States request to unseal grand jury transcripts stemming from the government's investigation into Mr. Jeffrey Epstein in the Southern District of Florida. For the reasons set forth below, 11th Circuit law does not permit this court to grant the government's request. The court's hands are tied. Pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6, the government requests that the transcripts related to the grand jury investigations be unsealed, subject to appropriate redactions of victim-related and other personal identifying information. Additionally, the government states that to the extent the court maintains that this petition to disclose arises out of judicial proceeding in another district, the court should transfer the petition to the Southern District of New York. Yes, so there is going to be another battle going on with the Epstein court transcripts, files, etc. in New York. That's going to be another one that we're waiting on hearing from. However, it's New York. That state is beyond liberal, and I wouldn't be surprised if once again they get stuck in front of another low-level federal district court Democrat judge who denies them the same. And now I have to point this out. This is the Trump Department of Justice moving for, once again, transparency at the request based off of the heavy criticism of the Trump Department's own voters. It's us MAGA who are responsible for Epstein Files even being discussed still, because during Joe Biden's entire presidency, we didn't hear a peep about them other than occasional movements to get them released that were quickly shut down and denied. And now we have these Democrat judges who are shutting it down all the same. And this is a pattern here at this point. This should tell you all you need to know. While there are certainly likely to be some Republicans who are guilty of being in these files in an incriminating and disgusting way, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody at all that the Democrats have just as much of a reason, if not more of one, to keep these files hidden away from the general public of America. And I gotta laugh because, like I said, it's a cruel twist of fate. These Democrats have loved watching these low-level judges try to tie the hands of the President of the United States, but now it's come back to bite them. Everybody gets a taste of their own medicine at some point in time down the line, and I personally still hope for the release of the Epstein Files. I believe the American people deserve that. But when incidents like this happen, you gotta just take the time to look at it and laugh. That's what you get, Democrats. This is what you get. But that's all for this video. Subscribe to American Advocates for more content like this and other content like news reported the right way. Give this video a like too if you'd be so kind. It helps, truly helps the video perform in the algorithm. And thanks for watching.